welcome into the CHGO White Sox podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm Sean Anderson, the host of the CHGO White Sox podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson, and we have the full CHGO White Sox crew here today. Got Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. And the man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. Make sure that you are subscribing to our channel if you're hanging out in the live chat and you are liking the video as you join. We got Connor and AJ joining the cat chat, pure color
cat chat
as well.
We should rename it that.
The cat chat?
Cool cat chat.
I like that.
Yeah.
The cool cat chat. And AJ is right. I mean, we should be really changing the episode here. We had a planned episode, a planned segment. It was probably going to take around 40 minutes, but I think we got to scrap it all. This is probably to the likings of Carlos Correa signing with the Minnesota Twins. We have to stop everything because
this juice is not worth the squeeze.
No, the Hanser Alberto era begins in Chicago.
Yeah. You needed to bring that along a little quicker. This is now just no payoff whatsoever.
Well, we have an hour to fill. This one's from Robert Murray, also Mike Rodriguez reporting this, and Juan Frank24 on Twitter. Hanser Alberto gets a one-year deal with the Chicago White Sox. It will be a minor league deal. Alberto was last with the Dodgers, also has played with Texas and Baltimore and Kansas City. Middle infielder and has not hit over an OPS of 98 plus. Best season was 2019, 139 games. Minor league deal, but depth. So
yeah,
I don't need too many Hanser Alberto thoughts.
Every time I saw Hanser Alberto on video, he's yelling. He's very happy, and he's like getting the team hyped up. So that's what my lasting image of him. I don't know of a baseball player, but every time they pan to the Dodgers clubhouse or dugout, he's yelling. He's getting the team hyped up. So if that's what he is, it's a minor league deal. Fine. Who cares?
Yeah, really. And, hey, he did put up 3.5 WAR with Baltimore in 2019, so maybe there is still some magic in that old silk hat.
We're talking about Frosty the Snowman now?
Yeah, that was a Frosty reference.
Yeah, there you go.
I pulled that up. Anyways, we love you too, Nate. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We will talk about active players who will be Hall of Famers, and we'll also touch on the Comerica Park changes as they will be moving in some fences and lowering some fences. I did find some stats on that too to tell you how many more home runs the White Sox would have hit in 2022 at Comerica, but we will get to it. Got a big segment here to talk about active players who might make the Hall of Fame. We had an interesting thing yesterday going on. Obviously, we've got to keep it a little bit under wraps still. But you were chatting with Jared Willis, and I heard you say, like Scott Rowland, people voting for Scott Rowland in the Hall of Fame. I think currently he's the highest vote getter for the 2023 class. You mentioned, I never thought he was a Hall of Famer when playing. I agree. I thought the same thing. But, you see the stats after the fact, then, maybe Scott Rowland's a Hall of Famer. But that's basically the idea here is players right now, when you're watching them, are they Hall of Famers?
Yeah, I mean, that's nothing against Scott Rowland. I could certainly be convinced, but I guess I just, right. You see a lot of people's ballots and you always think to yourself, maybe I would do things a little differently. Oh, you find somebody who does match up with you, or, you're just surprised that one guy's getting a lot more attention than another. I've thought for several years now that, like, Jeff Kent always seemed to me as like a kind of a slam dunk.
Yeah.
That guy's the best hitter at his position for a good long time. All right.
Most home runs as a second baseman ever.
Yeah, put him in there. And yet Scott Rowland is kind of the guy that is getting the that is trendy right now for folks to be going with. And I'm not saying he's not deserving. Certainly he probably is if you look up the numbers. Remember him as a great defender over there at third base. Primarily I watched him play a lot for St. Louis. But so it's just weird when you've got these big ballots with a bunch of guys who you think do deserve it, or maybe there's a very small number of guys who you think deserve it, and you're like, oh, this guy, how does he compare with, is there somebody who has to go in this year? There's all this talk now about do you fill it all up with your maximum 10 guys, or do you only pick one or two every year? So everybody's entitled to a different opinion, and I think that's kind of what makes it kind of fun too.
I would do my Hall of Fame, and I would alter the Hall of Fame and how they do it right now by having yay or nay and only like 3 votes. So if you don't make it in the first 3, you're not changing. Nothing's changing about your game. I know people can be convinced, but it should be an exclusive club. It should be a place where only the best of the best get in. And it should be a thing where, there's 20,000 plus men have played this game. It should only be however many people have made it, like a 200, whatever the number is. So, like Vinny said, when he was watching Scott Rowland play, you never was like, Hall of Famer. That's how I feel about some of these people on the list you have here. Is like, that's a Hall of Famer. Like, when you see him, Hall of Famer. That should be the criteria. And then if you don't get that after the third time, it's been real.
So you're saying 3 times around the ballot, if you don't get in, you're off.
You're off the ballot.
I would agree. I would like that too.
What do you guys make of Larry Walker then? Because the first 3 years, 20%.
People should have been voting for him earlier.
Yes.
Well, yeah. But like, still, like, should he or should he have not been in the Hall of Fame?
Well, but those are two separate questions, right? Like, you can think that, like, oh yeah, guy who's been on the guy who gets on the ballot for the first year. Yes, of course I would vote for him. And then 5 years later, it's not like he becomes suddenly more appealing to you. Obviously, certain cases, people have become more appealing to certain people. But I do like that. I don't like the whole hanging around. I mean, we talked about it before. Like, no offense to Mark Buehrle. Mark Buehrle's awesome. But, why do we need, like, 7 votes to determine whether or not Mark Buehrle is a Hall of Famer? He either is or he isn't.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too. I mean, that's kind of why I'm bringing it up, because I think most people, at least looking at Buehrle, they just see the name Mark Buehrle, and they probably just pass along just because he was kind of a guy that never really won any of those bigger awards, was never really one of his top 5 pitchers in his own division. But even then, like Larry Walker, his 5th year, he was at 11%. Then he jumps to 15, 21, 34, 54, 76. Like, I don't know. I think especially Buehrle too, like, he's an interesting case because he reached those 14 straight seasons of 200 plus innings. Like, that's not going to happen again. So, like, if you are now 10 years removed from it compared to 3 years, does that feat look more impressive compared to the bunch and 22,000 major leaguers that have played? Like,
again, though,
you're
like,
just going away from that history.
What are you evaluating? You're not saying, like, Mark Buehrle is a Hall of Famer if he played today. Right?
No.
You're evaluating when he played. You're evaluating when all these players are playing. I get what you're saying is that, like, the game evolves and certain things can look more impressive. But, like, think back then 20, 30, 40, 50 years before that when the last man on the pitching staff for the worst team in baseball was logging all those innings and making starts every 3 days. I mean, it's the way the game has evolved shouldn't necessarily change how impressive something was in the moment. It should, because you're evaluating based on what it was when that player was active.
And as AJ says, there's no urgency to vote for a guy who's going to be on the ballot for another 7 years, so people don't do it. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, oh, he just made the Hall, or he just made the ballot. I'm not going to vote for him. I'm going to give this guy who's on his 10th year a vote that I didn't give him the 9 years previous. Like, what happened? Like, that doesn't make sense. Vote for the person you think is a Hall of Famer. There shouldn't be any convincing that this guy's a Hall of Famer. If you need convincing, then that person's not a Hall of Famer in your interest, in your opinion, and don't vote him in. I just want a small hall, an exclusive hall. And I would love Mark Buehrle being. I think the Harold Baines to the Hall of Fame and how he got voted in or got pushed in by Jerry Reinsdorf and others, it's a bad thing because it then opens the door for other people with numbers, like you're talking about Scott Rowland, like you're talking about other right fielders in that era. You're like, much better than Harold Baines, and that's a Hall of Famer? Come on now.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think, too, like, I mean, Harold Baines, the fact that it took him as long as it did, like, I don't think it was clear-cut that he was a Hall of Famer. And,
it's clear-cut that he is
but even, like, Fred McGriff, like, I don't know, I feel like some people thought he was, and it still took him a little bit longer. Like, Dick Allen. I think Dick Allen's a Hall of Famer. He's still not in the Hall of Fame. Yep. So, I don't know. There's some interesting...
And that's the thing. Like, media holds things against people. Dick Allen wasn't necessarily the nicest, friendliest, warmest guy. David Ortiz allegedly took steroids. But he smiled. He was Big Papi. Everybody loved him. First ballot. Get your ass in here. His teammate, Manny Ramirez, just as good as a hitter, if not better. This man ain't getting in the Hall of Fame ever.
Yeah. Well, and David Ortiz, Manny Ramirez, Sammy Sosa all appeared on the same New York Times list for popping, even though it was supposed to be, I think... it
was supposed to be secret.
Anonymous.
Yeah, anonymous. And yet, David Ortiz is the only one in. We do have a super chat from Stephen Bardo, and then we'll get into a discussion here on some of these active players. $2 super chat from Stephen Bardo. How about Hanser Alberto adding depth? That is exactly what he is. He played at second base, third base. He pitched. He played at shortstop, first base, right field. So he is depth, and
he might be doing all those things for the Charlotte Knights this year.
And he might be. So hey, we'll see what happens with Hanser Alberto, but I don't think it's going to be a name to watch just yet. I think he'll probably be like Tim Beckham and be a Charlotte Knight legend, but you never know. I think if they're calling up Hanser Alberto, they're probably dealing with some injuries here. Let's get into these lists here. We're going to put together a final graphic. Our guy Steven will be putting the guys into the yes or no categories. And let's start off easy here. Mike Trout. He is now the active leader in WAR, just behind Albert Pujols. WAR, what is it good for? Probably figuring out if these players are Hall of Famers or not. Mike Trout, 3-time MVP, 10-time All-Star, 9-time Silver Slugger, 2-time All-Star MVP, Rookie of the Year as well, 82.4 career WAR, 350 home runs. Is Mike Trout a Hall of Famer, guys?
If he never played another game in his life, he would be a Hall of Famer. He's got a better WAR, I believe, F-WAR, than Ken Griffey Jr. in his career, which is fucking blows your mind. Just, I think, very, very solid little play. Like maybe Willie Mays has a higher as a center fielder, but Mike Trout, I don't know if these people who's like, oh, he never wins the playoffs, he never goes to the playoffs, realize that you're seeing one of the greats. So get out to the ballpark before this man retires and before he takes away. Like last year, he only played like 120 games and still hit 40 home runs. Like the term generational talent, I was talking to Mario about this yesterday. We were talking about Bedard, the hockey guy who's going to get picked first overall.
Eric Bedard?
Yeah, not him. He's a little bit better. Connor, I think is his name.
Yeah.
This is a generational talent. That, Mike Nelson Trout, is a generational talent that will not be surpassed by anybody who's playing now.
Well, too bad Eric Bedard isn't active because we could talk about
him.
Oh,
it would be a short conversation, I think.
You're not wrong too. He hasn't surpassed Griffey just yet. 82.4 WAR for Mike Trout. Ken Griffey 83.8. So pretty close, closing in at the heels of Ken Griffey Jr.
I mean, when it's all said and done, this guy's going to be one of the 3, 4, 5 best baseball players of all time. Mm-hmm. I think you can make a pretty good case that he's up near that spot already, and he's got a long, long way to go. He's automatic.
Yes,
he's automatic, and when you talk about Mike Trout, you're not talking about a guy like, oh, great Hall of Fame case. You're talking about a guy that's like, oh, great case for a wing of the Hall of Fame to be named after him. So yeah,
an entire wing dedicated to the Fish Boy.
And you know how they had the unanimous vote for Mario Rivera, and deserved. Like, it should be more for Mike Trout. They should waive the 5-year waiting periods. Like you're saying, let's come on in this next year.
I mean, it's very rare to get voted in unanimously. I mean, I don't even think Hank Aaron was voted in unanimously.
He's the only one.
Just a joke. Rivera's the only one.
And I think Jeter missed it because of, was it Cowley?
One guy. Yeah, no, it wasn't Joe Cowley.
Okay.
Cowley didn't want to do that. But interesting just to look at the center field WAR leaders, and you see Carlos Beltran, who's 8th with 70.1 WAR. He just was added to the Hall of Fame ballot. Andrew Jones is 14th, and he's at 62.7 WAR. Beltran right now has 57.6% of the vote, and our guy Andrew Jones has 70.2% of the vote. So, like, they're close to getting in, and Mike Trout already has surpassed both of those, basically by 12 WAR already. He's the 6th highest center fielder in WAR, just past Joe DiMaggio, and is closing in on Ken Griffey Jr. And the only 4 center fielders with 100+ WAR in their career, Mike Trout on that trajectory, Mickey Mantle,
heard from him,
pretty good.
Tris Speaker,
pretty good.
Ty Cobb,
pretty good,
and Willie Mays.
Say hey.
Yeah, so pretty good. Willie Mays, 156 WAR, which is just absurd right there. So
he's almost got a perfect season.
Yeah, almost had a perfect season. 1 WAR per game. So let's go to Mike Trout being in the yes column. I think we could lock that one up. Let's go to one of the older
Steven
pitchers.
was already doing it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
While you're talking.
I think Steven will probably pre-fill this out too with his own opinion and probably be right. Let's go to one of the older players currently in Major League Baseball. It's Justin Verlander, MVP, 3-time Cy Young, Rookie of the Year winner, 2-time World Series champion, ALCS MVP, 2-time ERA title, 9-time All-Star, 77.6 WAR for Justin Verlander. He's third among active players. Second among active players because Pujols is no longer active. Second, just behind Trout in WAR. So Justin Verlander, Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't think we need to have too long of a discussion on this one. But I mean, it's just very is he what's next for Verlander? I guess do you think he's going to reach 300 wins he's mentioned that he wanted to before, currently at 39 years old, 244 wins. Like, would Verlander be the last possible guy to get to 300, do you think?
No, that's hard. No, I don't think he has it in him. He's still pitching well, very well, but I don't know if he can pitch until he's, 44? Like 40 wins, was that 60 wins he has to get in the next, 3-4 years? What did he get last year? How many wins did he get last year? And he had a Cy Young
18.
great year. Yeah. And he maxed out. The way baseball's played right now, no way.
If he gets, 15 wins over the next 3 years, that's 45, so I think he'd be one short.
Yeah.
So, he basically has to get 16 and then 15 to get to 300. I think it's possible. I mean, Scherzer's pitching to 40 at this point too. I mean, as long as Verlander gets to 42, he already tore his Tommy John. I think the road's there. Just behind him in active WAR is Zack Greinke at 76.5 WAR. Greinke, former teammate of Max Scherzer. He was a Cy Young, 6-time Gold Glover, 6-time All-Star, 2-time ERA title, and 2-time Silver Slugger. Zack Greinke, Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think this one's probably easy too. Max Scherzer, 3-time Cy Young winner, 8-time All-Star, 2019 World Series champion, 71.1 WAR. He is currently, 5th all-time in active WAR, just behind Greinke, Verlander, and Kershaw and Trout. Max Scherzer, Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Okay.
Herb gave him 3.
Yes.
I'll say this about these guys, though. I mean, listen, Greinke, obviously great for the longevity, but you got to remember how impressive he was when he was right there at his peak pitching for Kansas City. I'm sure White Sox fans do remember that. I mean, this guy was as good as they got. Verlander, is the pitcher of this generation. I don't think there's anybody questioning his credentials. And then Max Scherzer, kind of the guy, might be the guy, if I'm thinking about it in baseball, who, if you had one game to win, is he the guy you're giving the ball to? Active pitchers?
He has pitched in high-intensity playoff games, so yeah, maybe him or Verlander. It's between him and Verlander for me.
And they're on the same team.
I'm probably going to Verlander.
Would I be annoying and say Sandy Alcantara just because you can go 8 innings? I mean, that guy just doesn't break
I would love
down.
it, but
that is annoying.
He hasn't been
I knew it was
proven
annoying. I was self-aware.
in the postseason, and that's not his fault, but I've seen Max Scherzer and I've seen Justin Verlander perform under pressure, and they've done well for the most part. Justin Verlander, varying the results, but I think he's cleaned up since his early days in Detroit.
Out of the 4 big guys that we're talking about here, Verlander, Greinke, Kershaw, and Scherzer, I would agree with you. Scherzer, out of those 4, is probably the guy I would want in a one-game playoff here. But Clayton Kershaw is the next guy, 75.9 WAR. And this is interesting just with these 4 players. The average of the 66 Hall of Famers at the starting position, at the starting pitcher position, is 73 WAR. Kershaw at 75.9, Greinke at 76.5, Verlander at 77.6, Scherzer just very close behind at 71.7. So they've basically reached the average WAR for the Hall of Fame position. So it seems like it's a yes for Kershaw. But does Kershaw get taken down because of the playoffs? He's obviously been great in the regular season: 3 Cy Youngs, an MVP, a Triple Crown, Gold Glove, 5 ERA titles, 9-time All-Star. Hall of Famer, yes, but does he get docked a little bit for the playoffs at all? Is that going to be brought up? Does he not make it in the first ballot because of the playoffs?
Not. Okay. Absolutely not. As soon as he retires, he's in. These 5, I would say sans Greinke, these 5 guys that we've talked about are probably going to go in the Hall of Fame immediately. Greinke, people might talk about because they're thinking about late in his career, slowing down, Arizona, Houston. But yeah, as Vinnie said, Kansas City, Milwaukee, L.A., man was filthy.
Yeah, and dominant, too.
Yeah.
Consistently dominant. And even then, there was the year in 2016 when it was him, Kershaw, and Arrieta for the NL Cy Young, and he had a 189 ERA. Pretty ridiculous stuff there from Zack Greinke, Max Scherzer, Clayton Kershaw, Verlander, all of those guys, Hall of Famers. Let's get into some of the hitters here. Joey Votto is going to be first up. Obviously, have been with the Reds since 2007. He was an MVP back in 2010. 6-time All-Star, 1 Gold Glove, 64.3 WAR, and he ranks 8th right now among active players with WAR. Joey Votto, Hall of Famer, yes or no?
Yes.
And I'll say this about Joey Votto. We talked about the game evolving and thinking about what these players were when they played in their time period. what is the most important thing? What has it been in baseball offensively for quite a while now?
Getting on base
percentage, getting on base. Few, if any, have done that as well as Joey Votto. He's probably the king of that in a long span of his career. I think it makes total sense to put him in the Hall of Fame as a guy who did exactly what every team in the league would want a hitter to do. And as we get to see just about every year, a guy who is kind of a stand-up dude and an entertaining player at that, really kind of fits the dictionary definition of what you want a baseball player to be.
Absolutely. And two, you mentioned the OBP. 8th all-time among first basemen in on-base percentage, just behind Todd Helton at 414.
Who also should be getting more votes.
Absolutely. And then Frank Thomas, who was at 419. So basically only 0.05 points away from Frank Thomas, the greatest White Sox of all time, Herb, your guy. So Joey Votto also, I think now about 907 hits away from 3,000. Is that important? Like, does he need to reach that at all to be a Hall of Famer, or is he cemented with the MVP?
I love my guy, David Barista, but for guys like David, yeah, 3,000 hits will mean something for him going over. But for me, it's over. Joey Votto is no doubt Hall of Famer for me. Not just for the offensive skills he shows. He's pretty decent with the glove, and him being a great human, being a great guy, puts him over the top for me. Yeah, Joey Votto, as soon as he retires, I got him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, his 145 OPS plus tied with Paul Goldschmidt and Albert Pujols, and higher than Miguel Cabrera and David Ortiz as well. So seems like Joey Votto, just because he's played in Cincinnati,
Joey Votto
doesn't scream Hall of Famer, but I think that's the same thing with like Scott Rowland. Like Scott Rowland was in St. Louis and Cincinnati, just not like massive, always getting eyes on. Philadelphia too, Toronto, like never in like a New York or anything like that. And I think that usually hurts players like that. Even Todd Helton being in Colorado, like I think him being in Cincinnati is going to hurt, but having an MVP and then some of those ridiculous stats like top 10 and for first baseman an on-base percentage.
Pretty good offensive position.
Pretty good. We'll have Joey Votto in the Hall of Fame here. Next up, Miguel Cabrera. I brought him up. You talked about his contract as well. Miggy, Triple Crown winner, 2-time MVP, 12-time All-Star, 7-time Silver Slugger, World Series champion in 2003, 4-time batting title, 67.7 WAR. Miggy, Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Okay. And he's hurt the White Sox enough. I don't think we need to give him too much credit. But, easily, I think when you win a Triple Crown, last guy to do that, Yaz. So, and not that Yaz, the other Yaz, the older Yaz.
Old Yaz.
Yeah. Hawks Yaz. Next up, the guy right in front of my foot here, Jose Abreu, and then we'll take a break here. We're talking about first baseman, talking about Joey Votto, talking about Miguel Cabrera. Abreu obviously doesn't have the same exact accolades just because his career was a little bit shorter major league-wise compared to Votto and Cabrera, but he is an MVP, Rookie of the Year, 3-time Silver Slugger, 3-time All-Star, currently at 31.9 WAR. But how do we judge Jose with all of the stats, or do you judge him with all of the stats?
Well, I think here's the thing. If this was the Basketball Hall of Fame, yes, Jose Abreu would be his career-long resume, no matter what league he played in and no matter what country he played in, would get him into the Hall of Fame. I think the way they do things in baseball is they evaluate your major league career, and that is just about it. In that case, Jose Abreu probably not a Hall of Famer just because didn't play here long enough, which is a shame because he has been, as we've talked about a billion times, the picture of consistency when it comes to offensive production. A guy who won an MVP, a guy who has not just been a power-only bat, but a guy who has come up and been one of the top league leaders in hits, a Rookie of the Year, you could go on and on and on. A guy who has evolved from being a poor defender over at first base to a really good defender over at first base. And it's just a shame the circumstances of his life and his career probably keep him from that honor just because he was born in Cuba and he was playing in Cuba. Had he been that hitter in any different country, he would have been playing in the major leagues way earlier, and he'd probably have himself a career right now that looks like a Hall of Fame career as strictly as a major leaguer.
Yeah, I agree with Vinny. Not enough, and came over here late in his life. And I don't think he's going to do enough in Houston in his 3 years there, and then whenever he does after that.
Some doubting.
elevate him to the next level.
Oh, this is exactly what they were saying when the last time they signed a contract.
Now, if he wins an MVP in these 3 years with Houston, I think a 2-time MVP is going to get in, especially with all the stuff we just talked about. He came into the league late and then just performed all the time, sans last year with the home runs, but otherwise, numbers look great.
Winning an MVP again.
If he wins another MVP, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big if, though. It's
he's on Houston.
Can Jose Abreu, can he not be the best hitter on the best team in baseball?
Yeah, but I mean, even then, like, you look back at 2020 and, like, I mean, I probably would have given it to Jose Ramirez, the MVP that year. I mean, like,
such an Abreu hater.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hate him, but like Ramirez had more WAR, and like they won the division. The White Sox didn't even win the division.
Yeah, but
Jose won the division. I think.
Yeah. Jose went on a streak. Like, he was just unstoppable. Could not be got out at all, and he propelled the White Sox to being the first team that clinched the playoffs. And then the White Sox just pretty much took the foot off the pedal and said, "Enjoy Minnesota, enjoy Cleveland." Enjoy your wins more than us, but who cares?
Jose Ramirez in the 23 games in September in 2022 had an OPS of 1,294. So basically, he had an OPS of 1,300. So yes, Abreu was red hot as well, but so was J-Ram. J-Ram's always hot.
All the games count, same.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets up to 40 WAR, that would put him around where Correa is currently for his career. Yadi Molina is at 42.2 WAR. Like, with the idea of him, if he adds a World Series in Houston and is able to have, repeat last year twice, basically, and have 2 4-WAR seasons, he's basically at 40 WAR. Like, does that help him enough? And then do people put him in just because he did? I mean, they can rationalize and be like, oh, he started his career at 27. Like, I don't know. I think the hope is there, I guess, that people would put him in, but difficult.
Listen, when I don't care what your franchise history looks like, unless you're an expansion team that started yesterday. If you are one of the top 5 players in the history of your franchise, of a franchise, I should say, you deserve actual consideration, and I think Jose will get that.
Yeah, hopefully. And just like Alex says, too, retire 79 yesterday, which will be happening whenever he wants to. Obviously, he didn't want to play in the last game, so I don't think they're going to retire his jersey yesterday.
And there's precedent for that happening with Harold Baines getting traded to the Texas Rangers. They retired his number that year.
Yeah, well, I think that probably would have already happened, right? They would have already retired 79.
That would be awesome.
I think they'll wait.
Still be playing and go play somewhere where your number's retired.
Wouldn't it be great if they did it in
tell your rest of your teammates
he can turn to Jeremy Pena and be like, see that? That's me.
June 12th, he goes out and they do the whole thing that Toronto did when Burley started, and they don't leave the dugout. And then Jose runs out to first, and then they unflail the 79 jersey out, wherever in right or left field, and then he's just like staring at Jeremy Pena and Altuve, just being like cracking his knuckles, seeing like hard day's work.
And then hits 2 homers.
Yeah. Just terrorizes White Sox fans. We'll take a quick break here and continue the fun on the CHGO White Sox Live podcast. But we got to let you know, Greenridge Farm is a Chicago local meat and cheese company offering you a better all-natural option at snack time, at mealtime, at happy hour. They're the makers of all-natural deli meat, sausages, and their famous meat sticks. These meat sticks are hardwood smoked for 8 hours, and with 16 grams of protein per stick, they make a perfect post-workout snack. And meat sticks come in chicken, black forest beef, and flavors like jalapeno cheddar and spicy chili. If you haven't tried them yet, you don't know what you're missing out on. They're delicious because they're made from recipes generations in the making, and being all natural, they deliver a fresh and flavor alternative at snack time. You can always find them in the refrigerated section at Costco, Sam's Club, or in your local Chicagoland grocery store. I know I can find Greenridge Farm meat in my deli section at my local Jewel's. So right now, when you order any 3 meat products at Greenridge Farm and include a pack of meat sticks in your cart, those meat sticks will be free simply by using code CHGO at checkout. Greenridge Farm, simply natural meat. We also got to let you know about ComEd. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities we serve save money and energy. ComEd offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities, whether it's lighting, HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes. And an authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. So right now, we don't want you to wait. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy-saving tips and to schedule your free facility assessment, go to ComEd.com/poweringbiz. That's ComEd.com/poweringbiz. Ready to sign up for a facility assessment? Call 1-855-433-2700 during normal business hours to speak with a ComEd Energy Efficiency Program representative, or email business@comed.com, or request an assessment online, or on our website at ComEd.com/facility assessment. Thank you to ComEd for supporting the show. We want to move on, and we're going to go to the closet. We're going to dip into the Vinnie Duber jersey supply. We knew one player, at least one player, is in your closet, and it's Evan Longoria. Evan Longoria is a part of the Hall of Jerseys at the Vinnie Duber home. He was a rookie of the year.
No idea where it is, but yeah.
It's somewhere. Rookie.
It's at my parents' house is where it is, I'm sure.
Rookie of the year. It's right by the MLB, RBI? What's the trading card game?
Oh, Showdown cards?
Showdown.
I got my Showdown cards in the city. Come on.
Oh, there you go. All right. Coming soon to a CHGO White Sox live podcast.
Gotta dig them out, though.
Rookie of the year in 2008, three-time All-Star, three-time Gold Glover, and Silver Slugger. Evan Longoria, formerly of the Rays, formerly of the Giants, now with the Arizona Diamondbacks, 58.1 career WAR for Longo. Is he a Hall of Famer?
No. Good
Sorry,
start.
Longo.
Good start of his career. Just, like most third basemen, injuries and other things derailed his power bat. Going out to San Francisco didn't help his offense that much, but good career, but not a Hall of Famer. Provided one of the most exciting moments in baseball history, whether it's home run to walk it off and to send the Tampa Bay Rays into the playoffs, and then the Yankees out and the Boston Red Sox in, I think, that year at the last game of 162. So, yeah, great moments, awesome guy, not a Hall of Famer in my book.
Yeah, I mean, he would probably need a pretty good, substantial run to make it. He's had a great past 2 years in San Francisco, a 119 OPS plus, but the WAR right there I think is about 2. So to get up to a rolling level of like 70, he'd need about 13 more career WAR, which would be like 2 to 3 great more seasons, and I don't think he has that in him yet. But hey, Longo, fun player. Like, we could put him in the fun award.
Well, I'll tell you this. I always say this about the Hall of Fame. It's not in my opinion, it's not about just, there's no point in just having some building that says these were the best guys at a sport. You're telling the history and the story. It's a museum. And in that regard, Evan Longoria will be represented in that museum for exactly what Herb just said, that one moment in particular, but even that entire season with the Rays going all the way to the World Series that year. He was part of that upstart kind of team that year that ended up being a Rays team that has been pretty consistently good for the last decade plus. And he was kind of the biggest. Before Wander Franco, he was probably the biggest Rays prospect to come up.
David Price.
They were the same year?
Same year.
He was rookie of the year in 08, and Price pitched in the playoffs. Probably. So, right around there. Obviously, Price was a big deal. But
those two, really, I mean, are the big stars of that franchise.
Right.
Maybe Carlos, not Carlos Crawford.
Carl Crawford.
Carl Crawford. What? Carlos Crawford.
I mean, in Spanish, right?
Making up people. And John Cream, too. He is probably in the fake video Hall of Fame. There is that video where Evan Longoria seemingly being interviewed during batting practice, a ball sharply hit down the first base line, and he, without even turning around, just sticks out his bare hand and gloves a 115-mile-per-hour fly ball, saving a reporter.
And keeps on interviewing.
Yeah, right. It's up there with the Drew Brees getting struck by lightning video. But let's clear out the top 10 of active players with WAR. Paul Goldschmidt. Played 12 seasons, 58.5 WAR. We still have another first baseman. He was a former MVP last year in 2022. 7-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover, 58.5 WAR, and a 5-time Silver Slugger. Is Goldie a Hall of Famer? How much does the MVP help?
I think, yes, he is a Hall of Famer, yeah. I think he's got a, I don't know if he – is he a retire tomorrow and be a Hall of Famer guy, or does he need to – finish it off well? I mean, obviously, he was the best player in the National League last year, so he's doing quite well at the moment. I think Paul Goldschmidt probably is heading to the Hall of Fame, I'd say.
Me too. I think, if he retires tomorrow, I think, maybe not first ballot, but eventually he gets in because the numbers just can't be put away. And all those years in Arizona, as we're talking about other people doing this in anonymity, like Joey Votto, all those years in Arizona, he was doing well. And now he goes to St. Louis, a little bit more baseball-friendly place, a little bit more shine on you, MVP, because the numbers are right.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is his worst season was that first year in St. Louis, a 115 OPS plus. Outside of that, he's always been above 130. I mean, he just destroys baseballs, and I think the fact that he's still Like, he's a guy that I thought would always age well. Just has a very good stroke, very clean, very simple, and he always had like surprising athleticism too. Like, there was a year he stole 20 bags. Like, I just think that people don't really give him enough credit for the athlete that he is. Seems to be aging gracefully if he has a 180 OPS plus season in 2022 at 34.
And this isn't his fault, but I don't necessarily remember him talking on the mic, necessarily him getting a national commercial or anything that says, hey, I'm Paul Goldschmidt, I'm out here, I'm one of the best baseball players in the game right now. If you were to talk to people and say, tell me the 10 best baseball players in the game right now, some people might not put Goldschmidt in that list. And that's how underrated he is. And definitely is. He just won the damn MVP.
Would you?
Yes, I would put him in the top 10 players in the game currently.
Oh, I mean, that's a different.
That's tough. That's a different
ranking.
list right there.
We'll probably have to do that in February, putting together that. I would say he's probably top 10. I mean, he's 80% better than an average
If you
hitter.
count pitchers too?
Just everyday players, just position players.
Yeah.
I'll get
close.
I'll get off track if I
It'd be
start going
close.
through all that. Maybe we'll be able to figure out that list once we talk about some of these more active players. But Goldie, if he's able to have 5 more win seasons, I think, which isn't too hard for him. He's had plenty of 5+ WAR seasons. I think definitely he'll be a Hall of Famer. So we could put Goldie in the yes category right now. Let's go to Mookie Betts, former MVP in 2018, 6-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ, 6-time Gold Glover, 5-time Silver Slugger. He won a batting title.
Great at bowling.
56.4 WAR. Mookie Betts at the age of 30, Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Yeah. This one I think is pretty damn easy.
That's why I get so mad. Like, Boston was like, get this off of my team immediately in his prime for for
Verdugo.
Alex Verdugo to match up with Kike Hernandez. Like, why? What are we doing?
Dude, the Red Sox do that stuff all the time.
It's just so annoying.
You brought up Carl Crawford. Remember when they traded for Carl Crawford?
Or they traded Manny Ramirez to the LA.
They're always doing weird stuff.
Just God, like, and the Dodgers, like, all we gotta do is trade for him and pay for him. Bet. Like, the next day, like, okay, here's a lot of money. He's like, all right, sounds good.
Let's go. Let's do it. And seriously, like, it's not like he's a bad presence in the clubhouse. Like, Mookie Betts is just one of the like most normal guys in Major League Baseball. So I don't think he's rocking the boat too much either.
I mean, with anybody that's on this part of this Dodgers team right now, I mean, you can't say he's going to necessarily stop at 2 World Series titles.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you could throw you could project that he could put any number of more rings on his fingers because that Dodgers team's not going to get bad anytime soon. They're a team that's going to be contending for a World Series for years to come. We're probably, if you're talking about Betts, we're probably going to talk about Freddie Freeman. Even Kershaw's got one more shot at it this year too. So think about that too, bolstering resumes right and left for guys that are going to be part of this Dodgers team.
Bobby Abreu has received 20.5% of the vote in his 4th year on the Hall of Fame, and he's about 4 more WAR higher than Mookie Betts. So I think Mookie Betts with an MVP, with possibly 3+ World Series, definitely will be a Hall of Famer.
And still in his prime.
And he's still in his prime, only 30 years old, and doesn't look like he's slowing down at any second. We're going to start manifesting this. I don't think I'm going to refer to him as anything else than future Chicago White Sox Manny Machado. Manny Machado, 6-time All-Star, 2-time Gold Glover, Silver Slugger, 52 WAR for the now 30-year-old, will be 31 July 6th, is Manny, who finished second in MVP voting last year for the Padres, a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
I'd say not yet.
I
think he'll get there.
Yeah, if he didn't play another game, no,
right,
he's gonna beast out.
Does he need an MVP? Does he need more accolades here?
Being good. When I'm thinking about Hall of Fame, I don't need to rattle off things I can, like, show me your trophy case and then we'll talk. Like, no, I watched you play for years. Like, if you were one of the best players in baseball, you deserve to go to the Hall of Fame. I'm not sure Manny Machado has vaulted himself into that elite status for a entire career quite yet, but as we well know, Manny Machado is not old. Manny Machado is still going to be playing for a long time. I would expect him, I think everybody should expect him to keep on being really, really good, and if he does that, by the end of things, he'll be right there with everybody else, I'd imagine.
He's had 4 seasons where he's finished top 5 in the MVP.
Pretty
so,
good.
yeah, it's pretty good.
The thing that's going to hold Manny back, and it might not be a fair thing because most of his teammates say he's an awesome teammate, is the dogging it kind of thing. The, hey, this guy's kind of a dirty player. You remember when it was the Dodgers, I think he spiked somebody with the while they were on first base. But the play is undefeated. And the guy, if he does what he has to do this year, he could opt out of his deal with the Padres, and we'll see if other teams would want a 31-year-old Manny Machado and see if that Hall of Fame resume stands up. But there's no reason for him to move from San Diego at all. But, yeah, I think if he continues on this trajectory, of course, he's a Hall of Famer. But if he never played a game again, he would eventually get in for me. But I don't think it'll be a hard thing because remember who votes for it. It's the media.
Right.
And they've had to deal with him a couple times, and he's not been the greatest. In Baltimore, starting that fight, I think it was with Josh Donaldson out there when he threw a bat at Josh Donaldson from like he was swinging a bat and he purposely threw the bat at Donaldson. I think that was Josh. So he's had a couple run-ons where people don't think of him in a favorable light, but his play is undefeated.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that the next guy that we're talking about, you're going to go with yes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just to clear it up, just because
I'm
kind of on the fence
right?
too. Yeah, I'm on the fence too. I'd honestly probably say no. I think
put him in the no, then.
I think he will be, but I don't know. I think if we both have kind of half yeses, I think that would equal to a full yes. So we'll put Machado in yes for right now.
We'll put him in the middle. Like Steven's got him there.
He's still in the yes column for right now. Let's go to Arenado, though, because I think it's interesting seeing that Machado joined in 2012, Arenado in 2013. Arenado does have more WAR than him, 52.2 WAR compared to Machado's 52 WAR, and Machado's played about 600 more games than Arenado. 1,384 for Arenado, 1,445 for Machado, and Arenado still has more WAR. I mean, like, this is the cream of the crop, in my opinion, of third baseman. Like, if there is a guy at third base that I think of a Hall of Famer, it's the guy that does it with the bat, and it's the guy that does it with the glove, and Nolan Arenado's been doing that since 2013. He's a clear Hall of Famer to me.
Yeah, he's no doubter, in my opinion. I mean, this is a guy who basically makes it so no other National League third baseman is allowed to win a Gold Glove award. He's that good at defense. And obviously, you know what he can do with the bat, too. It's been, I guess, affirming in some way to see him continue to have success in St. Louis after leaving Colorado, where I know some people don't necessarily think very highly of the offensive numbers that get put up there. The one time I've ever been to Coors Field, sat behind the home plate and watched Nolan Arenado hit a ball that looks like it got about halfway to the outfield and then went off like a like a ramp in a Mario Kart game or something like that. But the dude is, like you said, Sean, probably about the ideal third baseman and one of the ideal baseball players that you could have on a team.
Just 10 straight Gold Gloves at third base and 6 platinum Gold Gloves along with
big deal.
5 Silver Sluggers at the position. Pretty good.
Yeah, and as Vinnie said, getting out of Colorado, they did him a favor. And the Mookie Betts thing irritates me. The Colorado thing irritates me the most. You signed the man for a long-term extension the year before, and then the next year you're like, get out of here. We have Austin Gomber coming, so you got to leave, and we'll pay some of your salary to St. Louis too. Bet, get out of here. And so he continues to do his thing in St. Louis too. So as people like Larry Walker have to wait a while and Todd Helton have to wait a while because they played some games, or Larry Walker played majority of his games in Montreal, but he played in Colorado. That boosted his stats. Todd Helton played all his games in Colorado. That's why he's not in the Hall of Fame right now. Nolan Arenado, getting out of Colorado, could say, I'm still the same player, y'all. I know y'all was talking about reverse splits and such, but look at the numbers still in St. Louis. I was third in MVP voting. I'm still here.
Going down the Matt Holliday and Larry Walker route of I'm leaving Colorado and going to St. Louis. And just finished third in MVP voting, just won a Silver Slugger, is first in St. Louis. So that'll definitely help him escape that Coors narrative. Again, 10 straight Gold Gloves, too. I think should just do it alone. Next up, and we'll speed through these now at this point, Giancarlo Stanton, MVP in the 2017 year, 59 home runs that year as well, but he's obviously dealt with injuries. Giancarlo Stanton, 44.7 career WAR. Yes or no?
No.
I'd say probably because I think the home run numbers are just going to be too overwhelming, right?
He's at 378 right now. He's 32 years old. Will be 30. Well, actually, he's 33. Just turned 33 in November. So, if he goes till 40, he's got 7 more years. Does he have to get to 500, 550? Is there a certain?
But that's a lot of home runs.
That's a lot of home
That's
runs.
what I'm saying. Is like the thing that always made me the most mad about this whole steroid thing is that like think of those number totals that you're leaving out of the Hall of Fame. I mean, my God, you're leaving a 600 homer guy in Sammy Sosa. Obviously, Barry Bonds, the guy who's hit more home runs than anybody in Major League history. I mean, you're leaving out a significant percentage of the home runs that were hit in Major League Baseball history to take a stand. Giancarlo Stanton's going to have a significant percentage of those two, I think, and I think those home run numbers will be so big that he's going to get there.
Players who have hit 500 or more who are not in the Hall of Fame: Bonds, Pujols. Obviously, that just happened, so he'll be in it soon. A-Rod, Sosa, McGuire, Palmeiro, Ramirez, Gary Sheffield, and Miguel Cabrera.
And there's none of those that if you are not I'm not voting for you because you took steroids person, like I would probably vote for steroid users most likely, then all those people deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And it's just so many home runs.
It's just so many home runs. It's a lot of home runs. And he's playing in Yankee Stadium.
Exactly.
Can he get to 500 home runs? He can. In these next 8 years, he can get to 500 home runs pretty easily. But the health is the thing. Can he battle through and do what he did last year, play a good majority of the games? That's why I just like, ugh. But also he's a Yankee, so that gives you extra. You already see where Pettit's at, and he's had the same career as Mark Burley. So I would say no for me, because the player didn't play right now, like retired. I would say no. But if he continues on this trajectory and is healthy, which is a big if for him, of course he's going to make it because he's going to hit 600 home runs.
Yeah, his last 4 seasons where he's played 100-plus games, they both, last two, 2022 and 2021, hit 31 and 35, and then 2018 and 2017, 38 and 59. So when he plays 100 games, he's hitting 30 home runs, basically. So I think if he continues to do that or has like 2 more seasons like that, I think he's definitely a Hall of Famer. Next up, former White Sox, Chris Sale, 7-time All-Star, 2018 World Series champion, 45.5 WAR. Is he just going to get put down because of injuries? He's currently the all-time leader for Ks per 9.
Yeah, I think he's got a better case than it might seem just because of the strikeouts. And I think there was a really nice long stretch of years there when he was still with the White Sox where he was one of the 5 best pitchers in the American League every single year. And he obviously just didn't. He never won a Cy Young award, but, consistently just striking everybody out, doing it from the left side. It's going to be an interesting case. I don't know if I have an answer. I don't know if I have a yes or no answer, but and obviously, he's maybe not a guy that you would project to keep going much longer because of the injuries, like you said. So maybe that is the end, the end of that story. But the strikeout numbers are going to be big, and I think people are going to be thinking twice about Chris Sale. Maybe not a guy who jumps to your mind as, oh yeah, slam dunk first ballot Hall of Famer. He's not that. But for people who do these deep dives and look at the stats, and they're gonna see some numbers that not a lot of people in baseball history have.
I'll say no, and it's not because of his performance. I don't think his performance will get him in there either. But he's a baby. He's a douche. The cutting of the damn uniforms for White Sox, the backing of Drake LaRoche, the yelling at his boss, Kenny Williams, the tantrum he just had last year in a damn minor league rehab start for the Boston Red Sox minor league affiliate where he's tearing up the clubhouse. Grow up, child. Come on now. Like, part of the Hall of Fame is your character. And I don't think I would want him representing the Hall of Fame. And I know there's other bad people who actually killed people or were racist and all that other stuff. I can't take him out. But I can keep a person from going in. And I don't think Chris Sale is I don't know if he's a good person, but he's not a good teammate. That's for damn sure right there. Like, cutting up everybody's jerseys, man, just because you don't want to wear them anymore. Come on, bro.
Yeah, it is one incident, and I don't know if
one incident. I just named 4.
Okay, well, I was just talking about the jersey cutting. You're not wrong, but hey, I do love that you're keeping it real. Like, Chris Sale's a douche. No other way to beat around it. Like that you kept.
And I don't need him to be a good guy, but part of the Hall of Fame is being kind of a character guy, and that's not showing good character.
86 MLB pitchers have had 2,000 plus career strikeouts. Sale barely made that with 64 more, 2,064 strikeouts in his career. But I do think the rate stat helps him. And I think like maybe if he can't go and he's still having these injuries where he's blowing up in the minor leagues, maybe you call it a career now and just say like, this is it, because you don't want to like inflate that ERA. Right now he's at 20th when it comes to adjusted ERA plus with 140, just behind Trevor Hoffman. So I don't know, like the rate stats might help him if he just kind of calls it a quit. If he's able to bounce back though and have more seasons, I think if he's able to get up to 50 WAR and continue striking guys out, I think he'll probably have a chance. But right now I'd put him in no. You as well?
Yeah.
I'd probably lean no, but like I said, I think there are going to be a lot of people who, however many years it is from now, look at those strikeout numbers and go, holy smokes, how can we keep these strikeout numbers out of the Hall of Fame?
And I know his peers are like, no, he's a Hall of Famer. I faced him. I could not hit him type of thing.
Right.
That might get Chris Sale in the Hall of Fame, but I don't think he's going to be voted in via ballot.
Well, I mean, it has to be like Koufax level too if it's going to be like injuries, and I don't think he was ever Koufax level of that dominance. Greg Miller does say, though, 7 years in a row, top 6 in Cy Young. I think this guy has a better case just because he has 2 Cy Young awards to go with it. Similar WAR, 43.8 compared to Sale's around 45. 4-time All-Star, ERA title, Rookie of the Year for Jacob deGrom. Is deGrom a Hall of Famer, yes or no?
Well, it's where the projection comes in, right? And I guess, obviously injury ravaged has been Jacob deGrom's career, but it's been a situation where literally every time he's healthy enough to step on the mound, he's perhaps the best pitcher in baseball. Yep. I think the Texas Rangers just bet a whole ton of money that those injuries are going to be put behind him, and he's going to put up Hall of Fame-like numbers down in the Metroplex for the next however many years. If he keeps doing that, if he can stay off the injured list, he's a guy who projects to be a no-doubt Hall of Famer. That's an if, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's an if.
Come on.
I would say when he plays, it's same thing with Sale. The batters will tell you that he is the best pitcher in baseball, but he misses a ton of time. So I don't see him getting healthier in Texas. And I don't see the run support being better. I mean, I remember those years with the Mets. So he'd be giving up 1 run and getting losses. And I know wins and losses don't count, but somebody is still going to be voting on wins and losses. And I'm like, man, you didn't get to any wins this year. You were blah, blah, blah.
I hear your point there, but the 2 years that he was 10-9 and 11-8, he won the Cy Young.
Well,
I think that narrative has changed.
But remember who are voting. These are people who don't necessarily watch baseball every day. Like Joe Colley still has a vote, and I love Joe Colley. He's been covering baseball in a decade.
Right.
And there's some other people who used to cover baseball back in the 70s and 80s. They still have a vote for the Hall of Fame. And they'll be looking like 10 wins in my day. 20 wins was
Mike Fidrich had 30.
Yeah, the Bird was great.
Here's the question.
Was the word.
He was so quirky.
Here's the question, though. I mean, it seems to me, Herb, your thought is that to be a Hall of Famer, you need to hit a minimum of tenure. You need to have a minimum of time.
Yeah.
There's a time element to it as well as the performance stuff. Obviously, we talked about it with Jose Abreu, but a different case because he was playing baseball, just doing it in a different league in a different country. Can there be somebody who only has a 7-year career or a 6-year career, but is Hall of Fame caliber during those 6 or 7 years? Or do you think they have to have the longevity piece to go along with it?
In both football and in basketball, I believe, they have had like people with short time careers, like Gale Sayers, I think only played like 6, 7, 8 years, and he was just so dynamic in those years to like get your ass in the Hall of Fame. Baseball's a tough one because of the numbers count. And people like think about the numbers all the time. And what makes a Hall of Famer is you doing it consistently for a longer period of time. The Jaws system where what's the guy's name? Jaffe puts out. It's Jaffe puts your 7 collective best years, 7. So it'll be tough for somebody with only 6 years. If you have 7 great years, I guess you can get in there, but I would be on the side of no, even though you were dominant. unless there was an unfortunate injury, like, hey, man, that man's arm, like that one time Dave Dravecky broke his arm because he was dealing with cancer, and you couldn't pitch anymore because your arm is getting amputated. Got it. But if it's, hey, I got injured, and then I try to battle back, and years 7, 8, and 9 just weren't good enough as I try to get back into the major leagues, then you're like, sorry, you were dominant, and you should deserve your plaudits in those 6 years, 7 years you're in there, but I can't put you in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I was just curious. I think it's a curious. I think there's no rules. I don't think there are. A couple. But my point being is that there's no rules, and so each voter probably has to make their own set of rules, and it's probably slightly different from voter to voter, which is a fun thing about it. I think.
I immediately went to Koufax because you brought that up. Like, if you had a shortened career, like, Koufax stopped pitching when he was 30. I took his last 9 years because he pitched for 12. So his 22 seasons to 30 seasons, a 2.64 ERA, 156 wins, 2,000 innings pitched. DeGrom over his career, 2.52 ERA, 1,300 innings pitched, 82 wins, a 1.55 ERA plus, Koufax with a 1.35 ERA plus. So, I mean, DeGrom's just been so dominant. The past 5 years, a 2.05 ERA. That's over 600 innings.
Pretty good.
And a 2.05 ERA. I mean, just the level of dominance I don't think will ever be matched again. DeGrom deserves to be a Hall of Famer. This guy has to be the easiest one that we'll talk about. And we've talked about Mike Trout. We've talked about Justin Verlander, guys that have already written their careers. 5 years. Shohei Ohtani, Hall of Famer, yes or no?
Yes.
I mean, he gets it because of 2021 alone, right?
I mean, he gets it for doing something that no one's ever done before. Mm-hmm. Baseball been being played for an awful long time, and for someone to come around in the 2020s and do something that has never been done before and do it at an incredible level. I mean, hey, he didn't just do it one time, too. 2022, he was top 5 in Cy Young in 2022.
He was better. He was better. I mean, like, he didn't even finish in the Cy Young in 2021. Finished top 5 last year.
Yeah,
so and top 2 in the MVP.
He was a better pitcher in 2022 and still a decent enough, consistent hitter. He wasn't as dominant as a hitter as he was in 2021, but he became a better player. But there was a monster in there with being the MVP. Yeah, I think without injuries, Shohei Ohtani's locked in, and I'm gonna get mad when they trade him. I'm gonna get mad. There's no reason to trade him. Zero.
Is this not a guy who could retire right now and get in?
No, it's gonna be hard.
We've talked about how many guys, and we've not brought up one guy who has MVP and Cy Young votes.
Understood.
I guess Verlander did too, but like both Silver Slugger and.
I'll tell you a story. When I was in college, is when Rick Ankiel made the comeback as the hitter, right?
Yeah.
I think he made an all-star team. Like he did well. And we would have little chats like this, me and my friends in college. And I had one friend in college who said that he thought Rick Ankiel was the best baseball player ever because nobody had done both.
So do we think,
or maybe not ever, but best player he was the best baseball player on the planet because he was doing both, because he could do both.
But now you look at Rick Ankiel, he's basically Matt Davidson.
Right, and Rick Ankiel was not that good. He was good, but he was not great.
Not Shohei Ohtani.
Shohei Ohtani
levels.
is the best at those things, independently of each other.
Do you put, if he never played another game, Shohei Ohtani in, not factor in his Japanese career?
Oh, I would put. I would. If Shohei Ohtani played one season and it was 2021, he would be in the Hall of Fame. I think even if it was 2022, he'd be in the Hall of Fame.
I would probably agree with Sean.
There's no one like this.
It's just insane.
I mean, I think he has to have his own wing.
That's what I've said. Like, I would trade there's no player on the White Sox that can be untouchable as long as Shohei Ohtani's alive and doing well. I would trade Dylan Cease in a second for Shohei Ohtani. But as a Hall of Famer, no.
Right.
Not right now. Not right now. Eventually, yes. I think he's going to project to go. So I'm going to put him in the yes column.
Again, I would be fine trading Andrew Vaughn and Dylan Cease for him, and I think that's still an underpay. Let's go to the guy that beat him out for the AL MVP in 2022. Former MVP, Rookie of the Year, 4-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger, Home Run Derby champ. 37 WAR right now for the 30-year-old Aaron Judge, who just got signed to a $360 million contract, coming off 62 home runs and 52 in 2017. Is Aaron Judge a Hall of Famer?
He will be, yes. Yeah.
Is there anything that holds him back? Just injury?
I mean, he could get hurt.
Really?
Or he could get hurt a lot, I guess, but this is a double-digit year contract, right? So we've only seen half, if not, we've seen less than half of Aaron Judge's career. It's been impressive to this point, and it probably will continue to feature many, many, many balls that go over the fence.
Probably. 220 home runs already for Aaron Judge. Seasons of 52 home runs, 39 home runs, 62 home runs. I think if he has just 3 more seasons like that, he's probably at 500 home runs already. Any anti-Judge case?
No, he's been a Yankee his whole career. He's hit a bunch of home runs. He's set the American League record a single season in home runs. He's going to continue to play at that fucking bandbox out there in Yankee Stadium. He's going to continue to hit a bunch of home runs.
All right,
and they could always downshift to DH.
Yeah, he always can. He's big enough to definitely keep his body in the lineup. Let's go rapid fire here on the last 5. Let's go to Madison Bumgarner. Okay. Madison Bumgarner. Yes.
I say yes because the World Series.
Postseason stuff.
World Series. I mean, I got Jack Morrison by itself, and I think he's a better pitcher than Jack Morris.
38.1 WAR, 4-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champ, 2-time Silver Slugger. I would say no on Mad Bum just because I don't think he has the length and the dominance.
He's going to come in here and show you all the jewelry he has on his hand, and you're going to have to change your mind.
Ask Pedro Grifol about that World Series where he pretty much won it for the San Francisco Giants.
No, I know that's fine, but I don't think Jack Morris should be in the World Series or the Hall of Fame, and I don't think Bumgarner should. I mean, Bumgarner had a good.
Well, he's got 3 though.
That's true. He does have 3, but he was really only the guy for 2014, right, or 2016.
No, that was they won the championship in 2014, I believe it was.
So yeah, he was the guy really only for that one.
Even year, 10, 12, 14.
2012, I don't really think he was that dominant. 2010, he was only a rookie. He was only really impactful for one World Series.
He wasn't just impactful. He was the World Series.
He was the guy. Yeah, absolutely.
The guy.
I don't think that's enough.
The Royals are like, man, if we didn't have Bumgarner, we would have won 2 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, what does Daniel Murphy though deserve to get put into the Hall of Fame because of his 7 home run streak in the 2016 NLCS run or whatever against the Cubs?
No. There's nothing better than a pitcher dominating in the World Series.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. Just
Daniel Murphy hasn't won 3 World Series.
Just taking over.
No, he is not. He is not. So Bumgarner, a yes for both of you. I would say no, but majority wins there. Freddie Freeman. We've talked about a lot of first basemen, former MVP, 6-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger, Gold Glove, 49 career WAR. Yes or no?
Eventually, yes. Yeah.
I say no because of the look of the list. We've already had first baseman in there, and I don't think he matches up with the greats of the great.
I agree with you. I just don't think that he's at the level of a Goldschmidt, a Votto, or a Miggy. And I think, too, his power is going to hold him back a little bit. And I don't think he's going to reach 3,000 hits. He's already 33. He's about 1,100 away, and 3,000 is pretty tough. If Votto's not going to get there, I don't know if Freeman gets there, but he's playing on the Dodgers. So, hey.
Have 3 more World Series before it's all said and done.
World Series help. I'll say no for Freddie Freeman. You're a no. You're a yes.
Probably, yes. Eventually, yeah.
Jose Altuve, an interesting one here. We've brought up Mookie Betts in the 2018 Red Sox, but we really didn't go into the whole situation with Alex Correa and them, but we could bring it up with Jose Altuve, MVP, 8-time All-Star, Gold Glover, 2-time World Series champ in 2017 and the past year, 6-time Silver Slugger, 3-time batting title champ, and an ALCS MVP, 46.5 WAR for the second baseman. Jose Altuve, yes or no?
Yes.
No. I say no. The MLB didn't punish him. The writers will.
No, it's not a prediction. It's whether you would vote for him or not.
I would not vote for him.
Okay.
I would punish him because of said cheating.
I think.
But would you vote for the steroid guys?
Yes.
Okay. How's it different?
I think the steroid guys are just trying to get their own money, trying to get themselves better. He's cheating a game. He's trying to. There was a coordinated effort to cheat the game.
You're breaking the rules.
To win games.
You break the rules one way, you break the rules another way.
I think the steroids guys, especially, I hate to do the classism thing, the Dominican guys are just trying to hey, I'm just trying to make the league instead of being abject poverty. I'll do steroids every day of the year if it means I get an 80-game suspension. Do I get to keep my money after? My contract's still good? Smooth. Let me take steroids. He's trying to win games from teams not on the level. And steroids is not on the level, but I think that he did it in a slimy way. And the steroid guys are not great people either, but I can see them doing that, trying to get performance better for themselves, for their own pocketbooks. Not great. But also, that guy was cheating the actual game by getting signals to himself and his teammates.
Altuve's best year was 2017, where he had an OPS of 160. Last year, he had an OPS plus of 160. I mean, the guy is still a great hitter. And he's always claimed that he wasn't a part of it. I think him and Correa, I think he was the one guy that was like, no, I never really did it. So I don't know. I think he is. I think just quality of baseball player. If I'm going to vote for steroid guys, I think I should vote for the Astros as well, because it's not like the Astros were the only team doing it. The Red Sox the next year got the same, type of punishment.
And the thing I say about the steroid guys, hey, it happened.
Right.
I remember watching the games. Like they can't erase it from history. And if the numbers stay the same, the World Series trophy still sits there at Minute Maid Park in the lobby or whatever.
Please keep them that small, Steven.
It's not going away.
Please make them smaller.
That works. Put them right next to
you guys
Aaron
can't
Judge.
see it if you're watching the podcast. But Steven's doing the graphics in front of us, and he has Altuve nice and
next to Judge.
That's perfect.
Perfect.
That's perfect.
To scale.
Final two here: Juan Soto and Bryce Harper. Juan Soto, now of the Padres, two-time All-Star, 2019 World Series champion, three-time Silver Slugger, 23.2 WAR already, and he's only 24 years old. Juan Soto, will he be a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
One day, yes, but man, does he have a lot of career left to go.
Oh my God!
And even then, like he had
why would you trade him again?
Yeah, he had
why
down year in San Diego, a 130 OPS plus. I think he'll be fine.
If the White Sox ever traded somebody like Juan Soto or Mookie Betts, or like the Angels are thinking about with Shohei Ohtani, I don't know if I could be a fan anymore, because I would say your baseball acumen is off.
That's how I feel about Andrew Vaughn.
Come on now.
Final guy is Bryce Harper, two-time MVP. Obviously, just reached the World Series last year in 2022. Was Rookie of the Year, seven-time All-Star, 42.5 WAR right now for Bryce. He's in his age 30 season. Bryce, Hall of Famer?
Yes.
He showed some stuff last year to me. I got to be honest. Like, he showed he could be the guy to come through, to deliver, one of a big baseball-defining moment kind of thing. And also, I thought when he went to the Phillies, I was like, oh, have fun, never winning anything, because the Phillies always managed to fall on their face with all their high-priced guys. But they went and won the pennant last year, so maybe that Phillies team is going to be contending enough to get Harper some more spots on that resume in terms of just winning.
Yeah, in the postseason last year, casual, 22 hits, 13 of them extra base hits, an OPS plus of 1160, slugged 746.
Was he
just
hurt too?
Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, and he tore his UCL, I think.
Yeah.
So he had to get Tommy John, and then was just a DH the entire year for them because he couldn't play the outfield, and still killed it. So I would put Bryce in the yes. We only had 4 no's: Jose Abreu, Evan Longoria, Chris Sale, and Freddie Freeman.
Poor Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, right? The yeses: Mike Trout.
Your two 2020 MVPs are both in the no column.
That's true.
Freeman and Jose.
And the only two former White Sox are also in notes, and Jose Abreu and Chris Sale. If it did include the Cuba stats, I think Jose Abreu is easily a Hall of Famer, though. We will share this graphic on our social media as well. We'll save the Comerica dimensions for tomorrow, as this is already about 10 minutes over the hour mark. But we appreciate everyone for joining us today, everyone in the chat. We really do appreciate KPW, the Canadian, defending his fellow Canadian, saying the Freddie Freeman disrespect is crazy. Huh?
Freddie Freeman's not Canadian. Joey Votto's Canadian.
Freddie Freeman's not Canadian.
He's Southern Californian.
I would have bet all my money that Freddie Freeman was Canadian.
Yeah.
Is something about him, like his nice nature?
Yeah,
Maybe it's a Canadian.
It's too nice to be an American.
A Southern gentleman mixed with a California vibe, and it just gives me Canadian. But thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you to Stephen Nicholas for producing the show and making the live graphic. You can follow us on Twitter. Oh, Canadian parents. I knew there was something there.
So he might be a Canadian citizen.
Maybe. He might be.
Courtney's a Canadian citizen.
Because her parents?
Because her dad.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. My mom's from Ireland, and yet I'm not an Irish native or Irish citizen. What's the deal with that?
Get it. I think you can get it.
I don't think I can.
I'm pretty sure you can.
That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at CHGO_White Sox, where we'll share this graphic. And you can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. We'll be with you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Go White Sox.